Hi, and welcome to RTP Business Live. I'm Bob Collier, your host, and today we're glad to have Leigh Roberts. She is a veteran buyer specialist with Century 21. Welcome, Leigh.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
We are glad to have you. Why don't we jump right into this, and if you can help me, tell me, what is a veteran home specialist?
Well, Veteran Home Specialist is a team that we have formed with local professionals. Myself as a real estate broker, a lender, Sherry Green with Southeastern Mortgage, which is also local to the Raleigh area, and a closing attorney, David Hilton with Harrison Hilton Law off Six Forks Road. We've partnered together to form Veteran Home Specialists to serve our local veterans and military families, help them realize the honor of home ownership.
That's wonderful.
There's over 97,000 military families in and around the Triangle area, and sadly less than 10% of them will ever use their VA ability to buy a home because they don't know how. Well, when I thought of that, I immediately thought of one of my clients that I helped last year. His name was Mr. Smith, and he served the Army for 36 years and then spent the rest of his career walking a mail route in the Bronx of New York. He moved to Durham with his wife of over 40 years last year because she'd been diagnosed with cancer.
Oh my goodness.
And we helped them find the perfect home, and sadly 2 weeks before we closed, she passed away. So that closing was very emotional.
I'm sure.
But what was the most powerful thing about it to me, Bob, was when I handed him those keys, he looked at me and said, "Leigh, this is the first house I've ever owned in my life." He was almost 70 years old.
So you made a difference in his life.
He said, "I didn't know it was this easy until I met all of you." And I will never forget that.
Yeah, that's a huge difference that you guys helped. And then it shouldn't be a secretive process, should it?
Exactly. It shouldn't be.
Well, that gives me a feel, but if you can help me a little bit more, what makes Veteran Home Specialists different or better than other organizations that help veterans buy homes?
Well, we think it makes it a difference because we're local. We're local. We know the local market. We know the local investors. We have in-house underwriters who know the area, who don't question appraisals when they come in. Unlike the big box lenders, we have a face and a hand to shake. We're not an email address that's on the other side of the country that their whole purpose is to make a dollar.
Right.
Ours is to meet these veterans, hold their hand, help them realize the honor of home ownership, and also raise awareness. We're here. We can go do lunch and learns at the auxiliaries and the places where our soldiers are, and let them know how easy it is to realize the honor of home ownership.
Well, that's a great service that y'all provide. Help me understand a little bit about what makes the VA loan better as opposed to, say, conventional lending.
Well, there's a lot of different ways you can borrow money, and there's one that's right for everybody. There's conventional loans, there's USDA loans, there's FHA loans, there's VA loans. And if you deal with a big box lender across the country, he's going to put you in the box that makes
convenient box
that makes him the most money. Well, that may not be the right fit. The reason a VA loan is so appealing is because it's 100% financing of the purchase price of your home, as opposed to an FHA loan, which requires 3.5% down, a conventional loan that can require anywhere from 5 to 20% down. We have a lot of wonderful military families that have worked hard, have good credit, can afford a house payment, but that doesn't mean they have this huge down payment to put down on a house. If they don't have it, then they don't even think that there's an opportunity for them to buy a home. They think that they'll have to rent their whole life, and that's not true. A VA loan is 100% financing of the purchase price of the home.
So is it truly no money down?
That's another thing that a lot of the big box lenders say to woo you in. Buy this home with no money down, no money down. And then they send them to a realtor like myself, and I have to be the bad guy that says, it might be no money down, but it may cost you just a little bit. If we look at the process, Bob, what happens is you find a pretty home you want to buy. It costs $150,000. Well, we've got our lending set up through Sherry, and it's going to pay 100% of the purchase price of the home. But there are other costs that are involved in purchasing a home. In order to show that seller some good faith on our part, we have to put down what's called earnest money. Now that goes towards the purchase price of the home, but it's the money you lay on the table with your offer that says, we're honest about wanting to buy your house. We are in good faith making this offer, and that is your earnest money. We're going to play nice money. That's what I like to call it. We really mean to buy your home. And then they have your assurance that you mean to seriously buy their home, because they have a lot invested in you too.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to take their home off the market, not show it to other potential buyers, while you have opportunities to secure your lending, to have it appraised, to have the inspections done that the VA requires be performed on the home, and that just shows them that in good faith. There's also other costs involved. You have to pay a lawyer to do a title search. You have loan origination fees. Unless you're a disabled veteran, you have a VA funding fee that has to be paid. You have escrows that have to be set up, and you have all these inspections that have to be done. All of those are called closing costs, and they are above and beyond the purchase price of the home. Well, whose responsibility are those? The buyers.
Okay.
That's why it's important to have a VA buyer specialist on your side, because I know what those charges are. Sherry, who is the mortgage lender, knows what those costs are, and the two of us partner together. I do the very best I can to get as many of those as I possibly can covered by the seller during the negotiating process. We'll give you this much as a purchase price for your home. In addition to that, we need for you to cover this much of my client's closing costs. And I get the seller to agree to do that. Then, if I've done my job, and Sherry does the very best she can with her investor and with her underwriting department, they cover the other. So hopefully, if we've done our job the very best way we can, when we sit down at the closing table and you sign all of your documents, you get the keys to your house, and you get a check back for that earnest money that you put down. That we're going to play nice money. You get a check back for that at the closing table. Sometimes you get part of it back. Sometimes you get all of it back. So is it a no money down loan? If we play our cards right and we do everything that we possibly can for you, then yes, you can realize the honor of home ownership with no money down.
But I need to work with a professional so I know how things are progressing and what those numbers are going to look like all along the way.
Right.
So, okay, so no surprises. Work with a professional who can help me with that process and looks out for minimizing that amount, maybe knocking it out altogether.
Absolutely.
By the end of the process. All right, if I'm a veteran and I want to buy a home, what is my first step? How do I get things started?
How do you get them started? The very first thing you need to do is get yourself pre-qualified and get your certificate of eligibility. Now, those two things sound scary to a veteran or somebody that's never bought a home. Well, they don't have to be when you work with professionals that specialize in VA lending. We're going to help you get your certificate of eligibility from the VA. It's virtually painless for you. That's the certificate that shows you are eligible for a VA loan. Then we need to get you pre-qualified. We need to know what your budget is so we know what kind of homes to buy. My husband always says, you don't know how to get to where you want to be unless you know where you are.
That's so true.
We got to get you pre-qualified. We got to see how much of a home you can afford within your budget that makes you feel comfortable. That's the first step, and the very, very best way to do that is to go to our website at veteranhomespecialist.com. There's going to be a button you click that says Get Started Now. You're going to give us your phone number and your name, and then you're going to get a phone call. You're not going to get an email from a person 3,000 miles away that wants you to send them documents and you're never going to see them. You're going to get a phone call. Then you're going to get asked to have the honor of sitting down with you and having a cup of coffee and listening to you tell us what you think your problems might be, that we're going to have to help you work out, what your desires are for a home, where you want to live, and we're going to help you through the whole process.
Every step along the way. And it's not a faceless entity 3,000 miles away.
Yes, sir.
I like that.
That's our goal.
Well, what are 2 things a veteran should ask? Not, not the things I already know, but the thing I should ask professionals before partnering with them to help buy that perfect home for me.
Well, when it comes to a VA loan, I think the number one question is, have you ever done one before? And if you have, how many?
Okay.
When you're dealing with a VA loan, which is managed by the government, there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through, a lot of inspections you have to do, a lot of T's to cross and I's to dot. And if you have somebody that hasn't done very many of those or hasn't done any of those, then it may not go as smoothly as it needs to.
Sounds like it could be overwhelming.
It could be. The good thing about it is, between myself, Sherry Green with Southeastern Mortgage, and David Hilton, we have collectively closed well over 1,000 VA loans.
Wow.
So if it can happen, it's happened to one of us.
You've seen it.
And we hopefully know how to navigate through that as painlessly as possible for our client and allow the home buying process to be fun and exciting and memorable, because that's what we really want it to be. And the second question that I would want them to ask, and the one that is the most passionate for me, is why veterans? Why are you spending all this time and effort on us? Well, it's true. Sherry and David and I and the other professionals that we partner with to serve our veterans could use the same amount of effort and time and resources to woo $1-million clients and build a multi-million-dollar marketing department if we so chose to. Well, there are a lot of lenders and a lot of realtors out there that do just that. They spend all their time and efforts trying to get big commission checks because they're commission driven. And we all got to make a living.
Sure.
I'm not slighting them for that, but that's their goal. Also, we just talked about VA loans have a lot more hoops to jump through. There's a lot more documentation, a lot more work you have to do. And you get a commission driven lender or a commission driven buyer agent, they say more work, small paycheck, because unless I'm helping a brigadier general buy a house, it's going to be one of our fine military that wants to buy a modest home to raise their family in or retire in.
Right.
So it doesn't come with a big check. More work, small paycheck, no thank you. I sleep good at night because of those fine men and women. And if the only way we as a team have the ability to say thank you for your service and thank you for what you do for us is by helping them realize the honor of home ownership, then I count it an honor and a privilege.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the experience that y'all have had with doing over 1,000, that speaks volumes right there. So it's not just a thought you had, it's something that you do and you live and all 3 of you work on day in, day out.
Right, it's our passion.
That's neat. We have covered a lot of ground today, and I want to make sure that we haven't missed anything, Leigh. So is there anything I need to ask you that maybe I shouldn't have?
Well, I can't think of anything that you should have asked me that you didn't ask me, and for this opportunity I'm so very thankful. But I would like to say that, again, it's a job, it's the way we make our living, but it's also our passion to say thank you to the veterans that serve us and live amongst us and keep us safe. This morning I left the house with my little boy. I thought it was so amazing that this happened this morning when I was coming to meet you. Had his little lunchbox and had his book bag, and we were in the driveway about to get in the car to take him to school, and a car pulled in at the top of the cul-de-sac. It was one of my Navy veterans. She opened the door and got out. And I said, "Hey, Miss Brenda, what's going on today?" And she said, "I'm on my way to the VA over in Durham. I thought I'd see if you'd let me take little man to school this morning."
Oh,
And
that's
he
neat.
ran up the driveway into her arms, and he got in the car and they waved goodbye. She's not a client. She's a member of our family now.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that makes me so passionate about working with veterans, and I am so honored to be partnered with people like David Hilton and Sherry Green to serve them at a local level that honors them.
Well, you've chosen a great group to work with, and I think the passion shows through. We are certainly glad to have had you today as our guest. Again, that's Leigh Roberts. She is a veteran buyer specialist with Century 21. We're going to have some information at the end of this video so you can get in touch with Leigh and her team. And we're also going to have information on the web page so that you can get in touch with a veteran home specialist and learn more about what they do and how they can help. We thank you so much for joining RTP Business Live today. We hope to see you again real soon.